The Oscar Mayer vehicle. Where is it? It's at the Henry Ford. What is the Henry Ford? Well, let me tell you a bit more. The Henry Ford, also known as the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation and Greenville Village, and as the Edison Institute, is a history museum complex in the Detroit suburb of Dearborn, Michigan, United States. The museum collection contains the presidential limousine of John F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln's chair for the Ford's Theater, Thomas Edison's laboratory, the Wright brothers' bicycle shop, and Rosa Parks' bus, and many other historical exhibits. This is the largest indoor museum complex in the United States and is visited by over 1.7 million people each year. It is listed in the National Register of the Historic Places in 1969. So let's watch and look at the presidential cars. So this one, of course, was Teddy Roosevelt's, and that was a very early time when it was also horse-drawn. Now, as we're walking down to a new area, this is called the railways. And what we're going to see here is one of the biggest engines ever produced around the Second World War, and these were called the Alleghenies. And there's a presentation that I stopped in front of and watched for a few minutes, and you'll see that it's just coming up in a few minutes here. But these engines were massive. I mean, I'm filming at my eye level at approximately 6'1", and you can see how they just extend way past that. But stand by and you'll see a little presentation like right here.
They were designed to conquer the Alleghenies. The honor of building these enormous engines went to the Lima Locomotive Works of Lima, Ohio. Lima used the term superpower to describe a series of locomotives that could pull enormous loads, but were also fast. The last and greatest of this series were the Alleghenies. Arriving just in time for World War II, the Alleghenies lived up to the superpower name. They could pull 160.
So now what we're looking at is the various coach-style rail cars that they had in the early days. And very soon we'll be coming up to another shot from a higher level. So let's just keep watching. Again, you can just see how big they were, how enormous. And various other steam-driven engines of the time. And 1941, Allegheny locomotive. It's very impressive how they were able to get all these trains in here. And I understand they brought the trains in and then did the building in certain places here, but not 100%, but it was really impressive how they did that. Now here's a higher shot. I'm just standing on the balcony here, and you can see the various trains. Now we're coming up to a presidential train, the president, and we'll have another shot of that in a minute. So here we go. We're on the ground right now looking at the president. I was quite impressed to see all the wood that they left back here. It was really unique to see all that. Now another neat thing that we were coming up to, this big red plow in the front. Can you imagine in the winter days where, and this is from the Canadian Pacific Railway system, which they had this huge plow on the front, and sometimes the snow drifts were so deep and so hard to get through that they would put on this engine and this plow in the front. And you can see where this was the driving force for the removal of the snow off the tracks. And again, Canadian Pacific, it's been in service, and that was its number. And you can see where it was just like a big engine with a big plow, and then the actual steam engine was behind it that either could push it through, help to push it through, or pull the rest of the train. This is really neat. I just swung around here and I looked in the boxcar here, and you can see all the old trunks as they used to transport them with the years past. Again, a very great display of all these trains. So this is, we're coming down to the end of the trains. And what I also put in here, these are the two trams that I used to use, and I thought I'd throw them in there as part of the train system. So again, this is part 1 of the Ford Museum, and we'll be doing 4 or 5 parts and taking you through the rest of the museum. But for right now, this is V from A Canadian RVer. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, please give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you in part 2 coming up.